Welcome to the One Love, One Faith podcast, where we use the love of Christ and faith in His Word to navigate Christian living in the 21st century. Remember to follow us on social media at onelove_onefaith. Hey out there!
Hello, everyone.
My name is Camille,
And I'm Arinthia.
and you're listening to the One Love, One Faith podcast.
Yidig.
Bienvenidos!
Hey, guys.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 79. Thank you for joining.
Right. And happy new month.
Yes, it is officially June. It's crazy.
Right. The year just started.
But here we are. And it's week 1 of the month, so you know that it's relationship talk.
Right.
It's the love zone.
Yes. And we have a very interesting topic to talk about.
Yes, what's that topic, friend?
We are going to talk about the topic of what do people mean when they say, what do you bring to the table? Or let's just say, from a female's perspective, what do guys mean when you say, what do you bring to the table?
So, get to know you question. Have you ever been asked that, friend?
No. No. No, I have never been asked that.
A guy has never said to you, what do you bring to the table? No?
No, and I'm happy he hasn't said that or anyone has ever asked me, what do I bring to the table? I'm happy no one has ever asked me that. What about you, friend?
No. No, I can't say no. I mean, not in those words. Let's say that. Not in those words.
True. Which is good.
Yeah.
I think the topic is because it is very prevalent today. Like either on social media, we've heard a lot of people asking this question, especially guys. What do you bring to the table? Like, right? And we've heard females saying, okay, guys have asked that. And so we asked you guys a few questions about that particular question because we wanted to hear your views on it to see, okay, if you've ever asked that question, what do you mean? And from a female's perspective, if someone asked you that question, how did you feel about it?
Right. And you'll be hearing, we'll read some of your responses and thank you for contributing. So we'll be coming to those. But let me tell you, this has caused quite the social media debate. Yeah,
Yes.
if you're anywhere on social media, you've seen something. Maybe you didn't know what they were talking about, or maybe you do,
Right.
but it has been on social media. And like you said, friend, there are women saying that they're offended by being asked this question,
Mm-hmm.
and there are men that are basically saying that for several years, women have been asking them, as men about what they can offer. So in their eyes, they're saying, what's wrong? What's wrong if I ask a woman the very same question? And it'll be interesting because here on the One Love, One Faith podcast, we have two different opinions
Okay.
because this question annoys Arinthia to no end. And, while I honestly have no problem with the question, I don't. So first, we're gonna let Arinthia vent it out. What are your thoughts about the question,
You know
friend?
what? Let me just say this, right? I don't see anything wrong um, with a person asking, like what are some attributes that you can contribute to the relationship to make it happy, healthy, effective, right? I just feel like when you ask somebody, what do you bring to the table? It just sounds condescending to me, right? In my opinion, especially from a female's perspective, when guys ask that question, they are oftentimes referring to money, right? They're oftentimes referring to money, which again, I think that there are better ways to ask someone, hey, how what are some of the qualities that you have that can be beneficial to this relationship, and honestly sometimes I don't even think that this is actually a question that needs to be asked sometimes, but that's neither here nor there, right? But I feel like it's just the way it's asked. I think that's rubbing me the wrong way, right? And I also think that, you know, when I hear this question, right, I hear,
Mhm.
like when you're in a job interview and they ask you, so why should you get this job? That's just how it sounds to me. This is how it sounds to me. I don't know. I feel like
Mhm.
when a person is asking that, it can make another person feel inferior. Now, I do understand some guys saying, well, hey, women have been asking this question for a long period of time. And like I said before, if a person asks you, hey, what do you bring to the table? I don't like the way it's worded. Even if it's coming from a female or from a male, I don't like it. I think that there are better ways to ask that question.
Okay, I can understand that. Now, I mean, there is a lane, there is a time when I do understand, mostly women are the ones being, outraged by the question. So there's a couple particular instances when I feel it, and that's apparently because there's a group of men asking this question, maliciously, because they are miffed
Mm-hmm.
and offended at the fact that women, they in their eyes expect so much from them as men, and so in
Mm-hmm.
retaliation they're flipping the question on, back to us. They're throwing it back
Okay.
in the faces, of women, and they're like, okay, you always want us to be 6 feet tall, and you want me to be a CEO, and you want me to bring home most of the dough.
Really bothered with the 6 foot.
Right, they really heard about the 6 foot thing, Frank, I gotta tell you. As a 5'2" woman, I'm really not, like, I'm good. You just gotta be harder than me, and that's not hard to do. But I'm telling you, there are people. There are people that are like, oh no, you gotta be 6 foot.
I mean, that don't hurt nobody.
It definitely doesn't hurt, but they're hurt, and they're like, and you want me to bring home most of the dough, and you want me to be sensitive, and the list goes on and on. But they're saying, what do you
Mm-hmm.
bring? And some of these men are even saying that, all a woman brings is her presence and, maybe sex. They've even said, they've even gone that far, as
Mm-hmm.
to say that. So why do they as men have to bring so much if you're not bringing much? And so in that regard, with that intention, I do see how, you can resent that question. And
Right.
I'm a firm believer that a woman multiplies and expands what a man, and a
True.
family has. That she makes a house a home, and a woman should bring something, you bring something small, or you bring something, period, and she is to expand it. And so I do understand why, we as women are grown to believe that we are a prize, and
Mm-hmm.
we're to be sought after. I get that. But if we simply look at this question for what it is, right? What can you offer me, and do you meet my needs? Then in that regard, that's what I see it as. And I think some people are using it, just like, what do you bring to the table? Just like you mentioned, a job interview, like, this is a position in my life and you have to apply for it. So, what do you bring to the table? So I see it as
Mm.
perfectly acceptable, to ask and to answer either way, no matter your gender, and not to ruffle any feathers or anything. But I think it's just a question that's a label for something that's been going on anyway, like, we've been just getting to know each other and seeing if someone fulfills your needs. Like, that's exactly what you're doing. You're asking that very question. It's just not in so many words. So yeah, I can tell how it can seem malicious in some instances, but overall I just see it as, okay, we have a question phrasing for what we do now, that what we've always been doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see your point, and I love
Hmm.
that you see it that way. I don't see it that way.
I
I
don't know.
don't.
I guess I'd have to see how a
I
guy said
don't.
it to me. Like, what can you bring to the table in my life? Like, if you say it like that, I'm gonna be like,
You
oh,
know what?
whoa.
You know what? I think my because I've seen a lot of people or seen a lot of guys on YouTube or I would say YouTube, the main platform, who classify themselves as high value men, and I feel like most of the time when they ask that question, it is asked in a very condescending way.
Mm-hmm.
In my perspective, that's what I have experienced, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so when I see that, I'm like, okay, you are asking the question as if, well, okay, so let me just say this too. I asked one of my friends because I'm like, okay, I need to see if I am tripping. So I asked a friend of mine and I was like, hey, when a guy asks a woman, what do they bring to the table? What do they mean? And his response, well, hey, I make a lot of money. I need to know what you're doing. So I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. You make a lot of money. I get that. However, if you dig deeper into, yes, you make a lot of money, there's a whole bunch of baggage that he comes with. And so is it only narrowed down to, I make a lot of money? Right? And I think for some people, that's what it's narrowed down to. Right.
True, true.
And
And
also,
I have seen some people say that men, there are a group of men apparently, I don't know, that are asking the question in just a financial way with the intention of, abusing, you know, looking for a woman that's high earning or has high earning potential and then abusing that fact. So I have heard that. I don't know.
and then
I've just
also
heard
I've
it.
And then also too, when guys also narrow down women to just, oh, you can only provide sex. I don't know about that either because I've heard that conversation too, that that some females only their only purpose in the relationship is to provide sex. That's I'm not feeling it at all. I'm not telling you no lies. I'm not feeling it at all. And I think that when I hear this question, that's just what I hear.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's whom who I've heard it from,
Mm-hmm.
or the context like that I've heard it like in. But right now,
Not
and
feeling
also
it.
too, like if you gonna ask a woman like what they bring to the table, make sure your table have 4 foot and not and not two, cause some of y'all table they be rocking, they
Oh my
ain't no
goodness.
sturdy table. Sometimes them tables are not always sturdy.
It's
And
almost
be
like
barely hanging on, child.
the view is don't ask me about the table if you don't have something substantial on the table. Is that what it is? Let's not talk about the table
I'm
unless you're really
saying
bringing stuff to the table.
exactly. Don't ask me what I bring to the table if you ain't out here. It's a potluck.
Oh my god.
There we go. It's a potluck. Bring your own food.
I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like we're all getting worked up about this proverbial table. I don't know. Like, guys, calm down. It's just a metaphor. It's just a symbolic calm down.
But you know what? I stand by the whole. I think there's a better way to ask the question.
Yeah.
I stand by that. I I I have seen where people have approached me and be like, okay, so like what are some of your, and you don't even, you know what, sometimes you don't even have to ask that. You can see that because you can ask somebody something and they tell you a whole different storyline to who they actually are. And so
True.
sometimes it's just better to just observe.
Yeah, that's very true. And we just wanted to bring something that's in, pop culture right now, something that's on social media and talk about it. But, we do have given what we've said so far, we do have reminders, reminders from the One Love, One Faith podcast about dating, okay? And we can never stress this
Yeah.
enough, the importance of getting to know your partner well. We always say that before embarking on a
Right.
long-term relationship or a marriage. So, yeah, ask this question. I mean, rephrase it if you find it offensive. Definitely rephrase it,
Yes.
but you still need to know the answer to this question, and you need to know if what the person
Yes.
has on the table is what you're looking for. You also need to, we always say work on yourself. So you need to know what you are bringing to this proverbial table, even if you don't call it a table because you don't like you don't like that, but ask
You
it.
don't like it.
Ask it and ask all the other questions too. We always say that you've got to know the
Right.
person. Ask all the questions. And, you know,
Facts.
we've even said this as Christians, we stray away from certain areas, from asking questions about certain areas of someone's life. Ask all the questions, ask all of
The
them.
questions. Facts. I agree, friend. I agree. Like, I think that sometimes when, especially if you see certain things that you don't like, ask the question. Ask the question. If you know that, if someone says, "Hey, I noticed that you do this," or if you see them do something that you find questionable, because I like to point out stuff. I like to point out, like, "Hey, you said that you didn't do that, but I've seen you do something totally different. Like, so what's that? What's that about?" Or if I feel like, okay, I noticed that something in this area that I don't like say it. I like to ask questions. Like the questions that I ask, sometimes I'll be letting you sweat. I'm not even telling you no lies. I like to, and I don't know if it's this therapist part of me that always asks like the deepest questions, but I do want to know the deepest things. I do want to know about like when we get to that point, childhood trauma, all those different type of stuff. Like I want to know these things because these things can potentially be these things can potentially impact or influence certain behaviors in the future, and so you need to be prepared. So
Yeah,
I think you definitely need to ask some of the difficult questions.
right. And another reminder, you're gonna find out what they bring to the table just by the first few weeks of getting to know them. Just by getting to know the person, you're gonna learn their profession and their career. You're gonna learn their 5-year plan, their 10-year plan. You're going to see how they handle money. You're supposed to be learning
Yes.
all of these things about them. So, do we necessarily have to
Yes.
say the words, what do you bring to the table? No, I don't think so. But it's like a lazy one stop shop to try to get the big picture
Right.
about someone. But remember, you are learning all of these things, 5-year, 10-year plan, every little detail. And that's essentially going to answer that question for you.
Right. So, healthy, meaningful conversations will get you all the information that you are going to need. And if you intend to take your relationship to the next level, I hope that you guys are being transparent, especially when it comes to like the difficult conversations, especially like deeper issues or habits and behaviors that will either help or affect relationships in the your relationship in the future, right?
Mm,
I cannot like I said, there's this quote. I've said this before on the podcast. There's this quote by James Baldwin that says, "I do not believe the things you say because I see the things that you do."
mm,
And that's why sometimes I think that it is very important that we talk about it, have the conversation, but don't just have the conversation, do the observation,
yeah.
right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you say, okay, well, I'm not one that gets angry easily, but the minute someone bad drives you on the road, it's a whole different story. Like their grandmother and everybody is getting cussed out. And so sometimes we have to pay attention to that. Okay, you said this, but this is not what you did. So what's up?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what we doing? Is you good? Is we good? Is we going to be good?
Right.
You know? Right. So, guys, observation and conversation.
So, friend, do you think, not trying to cause any crazy controversy right now, but um there is this kind of mentality in certain circles, in certain there's a belief out there that, and I mentioned it earlier, that women are a prize, like they are the prize, and they are to be pursued and chased. And I don't know, do you think, like, what do you think about that, from a social perspective? And then also, like, do you think that the Bible supports that or doesn't support that?
I think the Bible does support it. The Bible talks about he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And so I do think that women are the prize. I think that sometimes because of certain type of like mentality that certain women have, some men don't believe that, but I also feel like they are there are women out there that do or can attest to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like you said, a woman, especially if you look at the Proverbs 31 type of woman, right?
Yeah.
Like if you listen to that, how the Bible describes her and how the Bible talks about her children and her husband admires her and praises her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what type of woman is that, right?
Right.
That has to be a, and you've heard people talk about like men will change but they will only change for one woman. So I do think that women are the prize. So I can believe that women should be considered as the prize.
Mm-hmm.
A fully grown woman, a Proverbs 31 type of woman, a woman that is in tune with who she is, a woman who is conscious about others and caring and loving and kind, a godly woman. I think, of course, she should be the prize. Why
Yeah.
shouldn't she? And
Right.
I'm not saying that guys can't be the prize either. Like I'm not saying that guys
Right.
shouldn't be looked at as like, oh, like like no, guys can be looked at as the prize, but I mean, we the bag.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree because, like you said, Proverbs 31, it, like, in verse 10 it says, her who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies, So I definitely think
Exactly.
it's valuable, and I think it's important that we look at things, even though we're talking about like a fun thing, trolling and going around on social media, I think it's important that we look at everything in that context and through our Christian biblical lens. And when you apply that to a man and a woman, I think what you see is, yeah, they're supposed to be this, love like God and the church. And so, yeah, it's a very precious thing.
Yeah.
It's a very precious thing. So I think, if you're a Christian man, then finding that virtuous woman, yeah, that is the prize. And when you find it, it is a good thing. But likewise for a
Yeah.
woman, we are searching for someone that loves us, a husband that loves us as his wife, like Christ loved the
Like,
church and gave himself up for her. And that's also like obviously a prize
a
as
gift.
well, right? That's a
Yeah.
gift. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it goes both ways, but I think we do have to identify, and, well, no, not identify, I think we have to acknowledge that, that women do have a tendency to navigate this world as if, hey, chase me, pursue me, I am I am the prize here,
The
so.
prize.
Right, and I think that that might be what some men might be trying to say with this message, is simply like, "Hey, I matter too." Like, I want to feel
Yes.
pursue, like, I can bring stuff to your life, it's not just about you, you,
Yeah.
you. So, I feel that. I feel that.
Right. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I think that sometimes we can be neglectful as females when it comes to making sure that our partners do feel desired and do feel like, hey, like they matter and we see the things that they bring to the table. I think that sometimes we can be, so caught up in the fact that we are the prize that we forget that, yo, like I have a good person here
Right.
too.
Right.
And so if this is a case, and if you are a guy who have experienced this, I think it's a great time to like have this conversation. Because when you have a good man, when you have found a good man, it is very rare also. Like in these days, child, if you have a good man, you better hold on to him, right? And
Right.
vice versa. Like,
Right.
who is more influential than a woman who is wise to her husband? Tell me who.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Tell me who is more influential
Right.
than a woman who is full of wisdom and, of course, virtue. Who is more influential to their partner than that woman?
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
Ain't nobody. So, hey,
So, men of the One Love Nation, it may be, it may be good while the block is hot to simply stray away from this table analogy, stray away from this phrasing, because I'm telling you, the block is hot, okay? So, I think it's going to be
the black,
more, I think it's going to be
the
more
black is always hot.
right? I think it's going to be more well received if you go about it another way. Just a warning. Now, Camille personally has no problem with it, but I got to tell you, as a whole, it's causing a ruckus. So the block is hot. The block is hot. Don't phrase it that way.
Right. The black is always gonna be hot. And I feel like guys just find I personally feel like you can find a better way to ask a woman about the attributes and her qualities and then observe those qualities. Come on, we can do that. We can. You guys are yeah, you can do that. Come on.
Yes. And to anyone feeling a little, to any man out there feeling like, like this question just gives you that retaliation against us. Like, I promise you there's women out there who don't just see you as a 6 foot moneymaker. Okay, I promise. So just look for your people,
Right.
find that person that's
Yeah.
not shallow. Okay. Look
Yes.
for meaningful relationships.
Yes.
Right.
You know what's crazy? This week, friend,
Uh-huh.
I've been hearing a lot of guys talk about, especially like the employees that we work with. I've heard a lot of guys have this conversation in the mornings, and early in the mornings I've heard these conversations. It look like they be sleeping on it, right? One of the guys actually said that, you give, like, you take care of a woman, and a woman sometimes don't appreciate it, or she doesn't do anything for you in return, or that same energy is not reciprocated. And I'm like, what type of woman or what type of ladies are you guys attracted to?
Mm.
Because, like, love is reciprocated,
Yeah.
kindness is like, I feel like those things are reciprocated. Like, if you, as my partner, treats me well and cares about me and loves me and cherishes, like, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, my partner will not lack any form of, like, affection or kindness or
Mm-hmm.
anything. Like, it's going to be reciprocated.
Right.
So if you find that you are doing everything and it's not being reciprocated, maybe that person is struggling with how to express themselves, or maybe, just maybe, that ain't the one. Just
Right.
saying.
And I think either gender, can fall into the trap of being, a a lazy
True.
lover, meaning, being unappreciative of what they're receiving and then not being mindful that they're, of reciprocating. So yeah, I think that could be what's really going on there.
True.
But we have comments. We have comments from the One Love Nation, and we promised you we're going to get to them. So we're going to go through some of them and just give you like what you guys said. We posted it online and we got some feedback from you guys about what does this question mean and have you asked it before and what does it mean when you ask it. So here, we heard from both, but obviously more males because it is kind of geared towards them like, hey, what do you guys mean when you ask a woman this question? So what did they say?
Okay, so one guy says, in simple language, I I just don't need sex alone. I need a woman we can both work together to achieve common goals. She gotta be my piece.
Okay. Yeah. I hear that a lot about people being, yeah, looking for a woman who's your piece. Someone else said,
Girl, they always want you to be their piece, and they over here kicking up ruckus. Let me tell you.
that's why they need peace, girl.
Because
They
they
be
the
doing,
ones who be bringing on them nonsense in this relationship.
they be,
Nonsense. They be over here having 6, 7 women and then ask you to be his piece. Girl, if you don't shut up and go somewhere with your big head.
oh my goodness, behave. Behave, friend. Okay. So another listener said, for me, it simply means that I don't want any woman, that just wants to sit at home and beg. She has to be able to do certain things for herself. If I fall short at any time, she should be able to step in and balance things. Well, he said balance the thing, but Caribbean speak. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the
balance
Jamaican
things.
thing.
Right. So, okay. I hear you.
Right. We have another listener that basically is saying something similar. They're saying that it means that what value do you bring other than your sexual appearance or sex appeal, and your presence. Like, what other things can you add to the relationship other than these things?
Right. Now we have a perspective from a woman, and she said some women are, going online and saying all they want is a someone who makes six figures, and not only that, they want men who are over 6 feet tall. But she said, seriously, I don't take offense if asked that question, because if some of us as females were really answering that question, we wouldn't end up in some relationships. So she's fully
Oh,
acknowledging that, hey, some of us aren't being mindful that we have ourselves together and that we have something on the table too. So, hey,
oh, okay, girl.
she
Saying, hey, look,
understands
we,
the frustration.
yeah.
She's with you guys.
Okay. As a man, I am asking you, do you bring the thing I want? Long term commitment, loyalty, love, teamwork. Are you gonna stay with me when I am at my worst, or are you going to jump ship when things get bad? Will you protect my name behind my back? Will you raise a beautiful family together? And do you or do you not want kids? Pretty much that's what I mean when I ask.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I said, like I mentioned earlier, like it's just asking like who are you and what are you gonna what do you offer me in comparison to the things I'm looking for. And I feel like he's
Okay.
reiterating that. So here we go.
Right.
Someone else said, hey, it's simple. Men know what they bring to the table: leadership, security, finance, protection. Men require very limited things from women: loyalty, sex, and taking care of the home. Ooh, okay. And then he said, women's requirement of men is a long list. A perfect man who is tall, has a six pack, is handsome, is rich, loving, caring, romantic, gives
Really?
attention, vacation for days, good listener, in touch with their emotional side, etc., etc. And the list goes on and on. Yes, sir, we hear you. Okay.
This
Um,
one is coming from his toe.
he's feeling it. He's really feeling it. And I'm sorry that he's experienced some, inequity in the love that's reciprocated to him. But I have to say, like, as a minor rebuttal to what he's saying, I have met men and I have heard men have a long list. I don't know about you, friend, but
Exactly.
right, not all men
I've
like you
seen it.
say. Right, not all men like you say, sir, have a very limited list of
Limited.
things that they require from women. And yeah, I that isn't true of all men, just so you know. But I hear you. I think he's also frustrated by the fact that like we mentioned, that some of them really feel like women are like, oh, I want this, and he's got to surprise me with gifts every other week, and I want him to fly me out, and he's feeling the pressure of that, and he's like, wait a second, wait, not everyone is
Then
making
maybe
these
this is
six
not
figures
the
that
person
can
for you.
do all these things, so I feel
Right.
that.
And so if you find someone who is in that type of lifestyle and you cannot provide it, then maybe that's not the person for you. You know what I mean? Like we tend to
Right,
try to put ourselves in situations that's not even for us. They're not compatible. So let
right.
us just move on. Right?
And
Like let's move on.
I do think that some women can be mischaracterized as wanting, like, it can be mistaken for materialism, when really what they're searching for is a compatibility with someone where they like to spoil each other. And it comes out as, hey, I want him to do this and that for me and fly me out and to take me on vacation and to give me things. But I think there are a set of them. I mean, of course, some people are materialistic, but I do think some women are simply saying, hey, I want to be spoiled. I want to feel like my man does these things for me. And she's saying that she's going to do things as well, to reciprocate. So, not everyone who, has
Right.
requirements is lacking in the reciprocation department, I guess.
Man, this six pack thing is getting out of hand though.
The
Ladies,
six,
come on, now ask for two, not six.
the
The guys out
six
here,
foot
they're not
six
liking it.
pack thing. Oh, girl, look what it is. Oh,
Yeah.
friend, look what I just realized. Six
What?
6 feet tall, 6 pack, 6 figure,
Six pack.
666. Girls, be careful, be careful.
Oh, Jesus, not the devil.
I'm just joking,
Not the
but some
devil.
people are looking for the 666 package, I guess, and men know
Mm-mm.
about it.
We ain't trying to have that. We can take the two packs. We ain't trying to. We good. We good. Okay, let's jump into one more question. So another question is that a guy says, "I never ask a woman this. If you have to ask her, clearly she's not fit for the table. But in
Oh,
general sense, it means how will you add to the union? Will you motivate support? Will you motivate support, or will you be a liability and offer sexual favors as a bargain tool? In summary, what value will you bring to the union?"
yeah, so he's reiterating what we said. It's just a question about
Right.
what can you offer, right? Here's another one. It says the symbolism of the table is a universal gathering point. It represents the unity and structure of bringing nourishment to a central place. It's the idea of making an offering, a deliberate contribution, a structural measurement that validates the input one wants to consciously contribute to the mutual and sustainable development and growth of the relationship. Okay, I hear
Who
you,
is
sir.
that?
So, someone that has chosen their words, okay? So, when a
Very,
conscientious,
very, very carefully.
he says, so when a conscientious, synergy conscious alpha male asks a woman, what do you bring to the table? It's about what do you offer in my journey of growth and development. Okay. So he's
Okay,
defending the
alpha male.
question. We hear you. He said it's symbolic. It's a symbolism. It's a gathering point. All it does is represent unity and structure of bringing nourishment to a central place. And he's saying, I'm bringing my nourishment. What's your nourishment? Let's see if we can make a meal. That's what he said.
Okay, Mr. Alpha Male, just make sure that you are asking this question in a respectful way. That's all we saying. We ain't trying to say nothing, Mr. Alpha Male. We see the muscles. We flex. You see, we see you flexing. We see it.
I like that one.
I
I
like
like
it.
that
I really
one.
do.
He did a good
He
job of
he.
defending it.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Do I agree with it? Hmm. I get it though. I
I
get what
liked
he's
it.
saying. He said it. He said it well.
He
He
did.
did
It
defend
was
it
well
well.
said.
Let's just hope that he's not out here asking what you bring to the table, but more so, see, he knows how to put his words together. So let's hope that he can ask this question in a more, assertive way. Anyways,
That was a good answer. Well, friend, that was a good one to end on. That
I know.
well phrased
Yes,
gentleman.
Mr. Alpha Male, we see you.
Yeah, guys. So, just a reminder to analyze what you do bring to the table. For those of us in the One Love Nation that are dating, remember there is a phase of self preparation that needs to happen. And whether you are a man or a woman, there should be genuine qualities, valuable qualities that you are bringing to
Right.
this proverbial table. There should be. And so make sure that you're doing your self work and make sure you're getting to know the person, so that you can answer what they're offering you. You can answer, what they're bringing to the table, and there are no surprises.
Right. And guys, if you are asking or if you're trying to find out some of the qualities that another person can bring to the relationship, make sure that one, we talked about working on yourself. So make sure that the person that you are expecting that person to be or is who you are working towards being. So if you were expecting a good communicator, then maybe make sure that you are working on being a good communicator too, right? So make sure that you are whatever you are expecting from your partner or whatever you are asking to be on the table, that you have your good values, your good morals, your good qualities that you are bringing as well as theirs. And so come in when you put them together, it just makes a healthy, happy environment, a good one to raise for your family. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Amen.
Well, friend, I have the duty of praying us out of this episode, so I
Yes,
will,
ma'am.
I will try my best. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the love that you so generously give us. Thank you for the love that we have to share with each other as Christian brothers and sisters. But also, thank you for the examples you've put in your word of the love that we are to seek in partnerships and in marriages. And the listeners of the One Love Nation are in various stages of seeking relationships and dating and marriages, but our hope is that wherever stage we're in and whoever we're loving, that you are central, that you are in these relationships, that you're guiding the choice of those who are single and seeking mates, and that you are the third party in the marriages, Lord. Please guide us as we seek partners. Please put your love in our hearts so that ultimately we're seeking someone who submits to you. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. That has been episode 79 of the One Love, One Faith podcast.
79.
Yes, just a reminder that we love each and every one of you.
Right. And remember, conversation and observation.
Yes, in relationships, please.
Yes. Yes. So, guys, until next time,
Gracias por escuchar. A la próxima vez.
peace. Hey, One Love Nation. Thanks for listening to the One Love, One Faith podcast. We love our listeners and we hope you'll join us again next week. Please share the One Love, One Faith podcast and always remember that each day is an opportunity to show His love and grow your faith.